So there's always been Danish exceptionalism. And I get the sense that one of the reasons that the Out campaign had rather disappeared in Denmark is because they're just 5 million people. They felt they were too small. So I think Denmark is one that is quite possible that will leave. And I think Italy, look, the next banking crisis that comes, and it will, because if you think that what led to that massive credit problem back was over-indebtedness at a national level, a corporate level, and an individual level, well, look at the numbers now. They're a lot worse than they were. And I think the next time we have a banking crisis and a euro crisis, I think it'll be just too much for the Italians to bear. So they're my sort of three front runners. But I certainly expect very active.
Another example you mentioned quite often during all this year is Switzerland. So even my question would be, even Switzerland, it seems, or the government at least wants to tie itself closer to the European Union to keep this access to the interior market. So what would you say to the Swiss? Or how do you see the Swiss model nowadays? It's still a model for the UK for the future? Thank you.
Well, look, I mean, I don't know any Swiss models personally, but I'm sure that, you know, you have that's all right. You have a model of direct democracy, which I'm insanely jealous of. The fact that you are able to hold your political class to account by holding referendums at a national level or at a canton level, I like. And after all, Brexit's only happening because we had the ability to have a referendum and make a decision. If it had been left to the politicians, we wouldn't even be discussing this. And Switzerland is rich too, and it's done incredibly well, and it's really rather small in terms of size, and it's carved out its own position. The difficulty in Switzerland, of course, and you highlighted it beautifully in your question, is that everywhere the political class loves the European Union and the people don't. And this is perhaps hardly surprising. I mean, look, you know, for most people, coming to Brussels, even as an MEP, you know, and you get chauffeur-driven cars, an endless list of invitations to champagne receptions, you're told you're the elite of Europe. It's all very tempting. And you know, you probably start to earn money that you could only have dreamt of. I mean, it's an amazing thing, isn't it? That in this city of Brussels, within a couple of miles of where we are, there are 10,000 people earning more than the British Prime Minister. So from the perspective of Swiss politicians and bureaucrats and civil servants, what's not to like? It's the same story all over Europe. The EU have done their best to try and bully Switzerland, but I think Brexit will give them other things to think about and maybe take a bit of the pressure off you.
Joe?
Thank you, Herman. Joe Barnes from the Daily Express. Michel Barnier is often quoted as saying, not even Nigel Farage can tell me any added value of Brexit. So could you answer his question, please? What is the added value of Brexit? And what is the future for the Brexit Party? You've spoken about kind of tough negotiations ahead, fisheries, the role of the ECJ. Are you going to carry on holding the government's feet to the fire, or are you going to bow out gracefully and say goodbye to politics now? Thank you.
Well, no one's ever accused me of being graceful, so thank you very much indeed for that. That's lovely. Look, I would say to Barnier, what price freedom? It's not a concept he'd even understand. This is about us becoming an independent, self-governing, normal country, like most countries around the world. That is what it's all about. Everything else is a subset of that. Back in 2016, having completely dedicated my life to this campaign and to UKIP, for a very, very long time, was delighted with the result, was delighted to be told that the result would be implemented, and had just completely had enough of politics. I was very, very pleased to get away. And it allowed me to do other things. It allowed me to start doing some broadcasting. It allowed me to go to America, where I managed to get myself involved in the US presidential campaign, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And to be honest with you, even into 17, when I heard that speech that Theresa May gave at Lancaster House, I thought, wow, this is great, this is happening. And then it didn't happen. And I realised pretty much this time last year that Brexit simply wasn't going to happen, that the political class were going to get their way, that the Tory party itself had shown itself to be too gutless, too spineless, too weak to get rid of probably the worst leader they'd ever had in their history. And I thought a second referendum was coming down the tracks of us. And I feared that in that second referendum, many who'd voted Brexit the first time would just say, what is the B point? They won't listen to us anyway. And that's why I reactivated, set up the Brexit Party, and I think, you know, by anyone's standards, to launch something, and within 6 weeks, to win the European elections, to win a national election, to get double the number of votes of our nearest rival, was a great success. You know, Boris Johnson wouldn't be there if the Brexit Party hadn't collectively done what it did. It reset the entire agenda. It changed the debate. It's been, as of now, a dramatic success. But, to answer your question directly, am I now going to say, for a second time, yippee, it's all done, we can absolutely trust the Conservatives to deliver on their manifesto promises, and I'm talking, of course, about taking back control of fisheries. I'm talking, of course, about non-alignment with EU rules. I'm talking, of course, of the whole thing being done by December 2020. Am I going to completely vacate the battlefield and let them get on with it? No. No, the Brexit Party will continue to exist. We will be there. We will compliment the Prime Minister and the government when they get it right. We will criticise them when they get it wrong. But if they drop the ball again, I'm going to make sure that I'm there to catch it.
Yourself with the beard, please.
This week you're losing your job. So
what's your name? Where are you from?
Baptiste Bril. Baptiste Bril, I come from France for Quotidien. This week you're losing your job. So what are you going to do now?
Yes, I mean, I've been attempting, you know, to lose my job for almost 21 years. I am the turkey that goes on voting for Christmas. Finally, it's happening. Many of my British colleagues, of course, are very, very unhappy about this because this is the best job they're ever going to have in their lives, most of them. So I have to say, there was a certain frostiness in the breakfast room of my hotel this morning with a large Liberal Democrat delegation having breakfast next to me. Look, I am going to speak, lecture, write, broadcast, and I see myself for 2020 as very much keeping my eye on the Brexit ball and what's going on, but having the time and having the freedom to do all those things, both in the UK and in the USA. It is an election year in America. You know, I do have a recognisable face and voice in American politics. And so I do intend to go to all the debates. I do intend to be part of that. So I'm going to be living a little bit, rather than commuting to Strasbourg once a month, I'll be hopping over to the East Coast once a month. So, yeah, still commenting, still writing, still involved with current affairs, just not as directly involved day to day with party politics.
Catherine Fiore, EU reporter. Mr Farage, you've mentioned the Danes as a possible follower of the UK, but we've seen that the Danish Prime Minister has set her red line on fishing, and we know that in the trade negotiations, the EU, 440 million, will have her back. So what have you really succeeded, actually, in just dividing the UK and uniting the EU?
Well, the UK actually is coming together in the most remarkable way. Most remarkable way. Now, you wouldn't know that living in Brussels, obviously, but is coming together in the most remarkable way. A very large number of people who voted Remain say it's a democratic result, let's just get on with it. Even the Financial Times, who wanted us to join the euro, who have been completely opposed to Brexit ever since 2016, even the Financial Times now say this is happening, let's accept it, and let's make the best of it and make a success of it. So actually the country is coming together in a remarkable way. And I would say that those who are unreconciled, let's think of perhaps Lord Adonis as a very good example. You know, Lord Adonis, who does not accept that we're leaving on Friday evening, who says he won't even use the commemorative 50p coin that's been minted, they're beginning to look a little bit like members of the Flat Earth Society. All right, so we are moving on with this. Yeah, look, there are battles to come, of course there are. I want us, of course, to be like normal countries, like Norway, like Iceland. You know, international law gives us 200 miles in fishing. Norway has 200 miles of the North Sea, which she runs and operates with a policy which is a damn sight better than the abysmal common fisheries policy, and environmentally it's a better policy. And foreign boats can fish in Norwegian territory, but they do so under licence and under a set of rules that are set by the Norwegians, and that is what we should aim to do. You know, we do understand there are issues like historic access, of course we do. The question is, who is in charge? Who is making those decisions? And I think if we get fisheries right, we will carry the British public with us by being able to sell something that environmentally is a damn sight better than it's been for the last 30 or 40 years.
Okay, I think this will be the last question.
No, keep going.
Well, I'm happy to go.
Keep going.
Just about tonight, Nigel Farage will be leaving the Parliament, European Parliament, for the last time tonight about 5.